Hello and welcome to the lesson 2 of Google Analytics for Progressives. Let's get started. Today we're looking at what's new in Google Analytics 4 and what stays the same from the previous version of Google Analytics that you might be used to. First off, the first thing you'll notice is that when you open up Google Analytics 4, basic reporting is missing. This tweet is from someone who used Google Analytics every day for the past 15 or 20 years at a really high level. And you can see that they have a lot of frustration with opening up Google Analytics and not being able to find the information that they need. So first thing you need to know is you are not alone in this frustration of Google Analytics 4 basic reporting being really hard to understand and not being particularly useful. Now, I think the best way to solve this problem with a lack of basic reporting in Google Analytics 4 is a free tool from Google called Google Looker Studio. Now, this is a dashboard tool that you can pull your Google Analytics data into and make really customized, complex dashboards with your Google Analytics data. We're going to look at how to do this in future lessons, but really I consider it to be the basic reporting tool that you need to be using with Google Analytics 4 to make any sense of your data. The basic reports just don't have useful information for tracking your website. Now, another thing that is new in Google Analytics 4 is that it is designed to track internet activity, not just websites. The previous version of Google Analytics was built around tracking websites and didn't really do much else, whereas Google Analytics 4 tracks websites, mobile apps, all kinds of internet activity. When the metaverse gets going, it'll be able to adjust to tracking activity in the metaverse. So that's a major difference between Google Analytics 4 and previous versions. One of the things that we see is that events replace page views. In the previous version of Google Analytics, everything tracking was built around the idea that you were looking at a page on a website. Now, it doesn't assume that you're doing that. So page view is one of many events tracked. This is a standard Google Analytics 4 account. You can see all the different events it's tracking. Page view is one of them, but after that, there's all kinds of user engagement events, whether it's the start of a session, what they've clicked on, whether they've started to fill out a form. So Google Analytics, a big change in Google Analytics 4 is that it tracks internet activity. It doesn't just assume that you are on a website. Now, another way that Google Analytics 4 is new is that it's much more powerful and sophisticated than the previous version. As I mentioned, it's tracking the internet activity, not just websites. But underneath the hood, there's a lot more powerful and sophisticated processes going on. Everything from integrating with powerful databases like BigQuery, to its use of artificial intelligence, to new features like user engagement and audiences. It's enough to know that it's moved from a basic web tracking tool to a much more sophisticated data analysis tool. And we'll look at some of those features that in future lessons in this series. Now we've looked at what's new in Google Analytics 4, and now let's look at what stays the same in Google Analytics. First thing is that Google Analytics still requires you to put a tracking code on every single page, be it your website or your mobile app. You cannot track things that you cannot put a tracking code on. So you can now track your Facebook page, for instance, because you can't put the Google Analytics tracking code on every single page. Best way that I've found to install that the proper code on every single page is a free tool called Google Tag Manager. We'll be looking at how to use that in future sessions. And really, it's a key tool to making the most out of Google Analytics 4. similar to how important Looker Studio is to Google Analytics 4. Google Tag Manager is very important in your installation. And this also means that Google Analytics 4 answers the questions it is set up to answer. So similar to the previous version, you put the Google Analytics code on every page of your website and it'll answer certain questions. How many people came to your website? Where do they live? Roughly how long did they spend on your website? But after that, if you want to answer things around donations, how many people looked at your donation pages, how many people interacted with those donation pages, and then how many actually donated, how much did they donate, you need to modify that code. This is Google Analytics report for an every action site showing, how many people looked at a particular donation page, how many people interacted with it, and then how many donated. You can see here that Google Analytics is using an e-commerce framework to look at it. So it's an item viewed is a donation page view. They've added to cart means they've started to donate, and then they've purchased an item, made a donation. It's roughly the same thing though as looking at a donation page, etc. So the thing to remember here is that you still need to put Google Analytics code on every page of your website, and you need to set it up properly depending on your platform, whether it's Every Action or Engaging Networks or Action Network, to answer those questions about signups and donations. That hasn't changed from the previous version of Google Analytics. Now, another thing that remains the same in Google Analytics 4 is that you need to use UTM tags or campaign tags to track your email, your SMS messages, certain types of ads, and your social media posts. That was really important in the previous version of Google Analytics, and it remains just as important in Google Analytics 4. Now, what I'm talking about here is a bit of information you add to each link that you send out, particularly on SMS and email, and ads and social. Bit of information that you add to each link, and it tells Google Analytics that it was a message on SMS or email. Allows you to track that outreach really effectively. Now, there's a couple of changes in Google Analytics 4, slight changes that we'll cover in future lessons. But just remember that you still need to use UTM tags to track your email and other outreach in Google Analytics 4. That has not changed. One final thing that has not changed in Google Analytics 4 is that your numbers will not match up. What I mean by that is the numbers of conversions that you see in Google Analytics, donations or signups, will not be exactly the same as you see in your other data sources, be it, say, Salesforce or Action Network or Every Action. Your numbers will not line up exactly. And if you expect that to happen, you're going to get so frustrated with Google Analytics 4, you're going to stop using it. So our numbers need to line up roughly between your different data sources, but they'll never be exactly the same. Two basic reasons for that, that will always be the case, is privacy issues and attribution issues. So privacy, people can block Google Analytics from tracking them, so you'll be missing those donations and signups. Second is a little more complex, and that is, what is the conversion, the sign up or the donation? What are they attributed to? So Facebook ads, for instance, will take credit for signups and donations, and Google Analytics might have a slightly different interpretation of what the donation or sign up should be attributed to. It might give it to Facebook ads, but it might also give it to other sources of data. So there'll always be slight differences between your Google Analytics numbers and your other sources of data. We actually don't worry about that. Google Analytics is still an extremely useful tool for telling us where our site visitors and our conversions in aggregate, over time come from. Still really useful for tracking things like content marketing, email marketing, search engine optimization. We don't worry about our numbers lining up exactly, and that hasn't changed from the previous version of Google Analytics. And that's it for this session of Google Analytics for Progressives. If you're checking us out on YouTube, there's an entire course at datahabits.com/GA for Progressives. And you can also check out our YouTube channel, YouTube/datahabits. See you soon.